comes the TERF! Hello, TERF! Welcome! I don't like you, now go away!
What is a TERF? TERF is a new slang that we hear a lot in the trans community. It stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist, and it often describes women who are feminists and who don't want to include trans women in their feminism. Transphobic people exist. Any type of person can be transphobic. But I think the term TERF is used too much these days, and it's mostly used to shut down the conversation. So trans activists, they can just spew lies and misinformation about biology and gender and sex without any pushback. Today I'm going to react to some TikToks where some are trying to describe what a TERF is. So let's watch.
Get out of my kitchen!
Oh, Nanny! You've hurt a rat's feelings!
I think I can live with that.
Yeah, I think J.K. Rowling is so sad. I think she cries a lot when people say, trans women are women. Because it's such a powerful, convincing statement, right?
Here comes the TERF! Hello, TERF! Welcome! I don't like you, now go away! Here comes the TERF! Welcome! Well, while I've got you here, can we talk about the name? It doesn't seem like you're very radical or very feminist. It kind of seems like you're just a trans exclusionary part. It'd be like if I called myself an online influencer who also shits rainbows. I only do half of those things, yeah! I only shit rainbows!
I think it describes very well the people who believe that TERFs are everywhere, what they look like and what they sound like. They have some issues. Imagine hating women so much that you have to make a song about it.
A new study has come out saying that transgender children may start to identify with toys and clothes typical of their gender identity from a very young age. And all the trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people of the world said, well, duh. Emmy didn't. She said, I'm adding myself to the growing list of women who are revealing being tomboy as a child and a feminine straight woman today. Good for you! Thank you so much for your anecdotal evidence. Aw, shoot. You proved that study wrong with your counter-study of a whopping one person.
You think it's only one person who has this story? You're more than welcome to see my inbox, my DMs, and you're more than welcome to see my comments on my YouTube channel, because there's a lot of women and also men who share the same story. Many women used to be tomboys as children. Many men used to play with dresses and dolls when they were kids, and now they're straight people today. The women are feminine and the men are masculine today. It's a real thing. And that's because kids are kids and they play with what they want to play with. You can also call it a phase. Children go through phases all the damn time. It is the most natural part of being a kid.
Well, back to the drawing board. Just kidding. I'm 100% certain that that study didn't come out and say, all children that play with gender non-conforming toys are trans. That's not how research is done. I know a lot of trans people that had the exact opposite experience. That being said, trans people aren't afraid to be around me like they probably are to be around you.
Emmy, if you're watching this, let's have dinner. I wouldn't feel comfortable being around this guy, or anyone like him. And I'm assuming he's not a transsexual. So listen to one. This is a transsexual talking. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be around people like you. I want to be around people like Emmy.
TERF! Ooh, I hope that's not Omicron. Oh no, you know what? It's probably just that cough that I developed when J.K. Rowling started telling her feelings on trans people.
Oh, like the time that she sent flowers to Rose of Dawn, a well-known trans YouTuber? Because J.K. Rowling likes her? That says a lot. It says a lot.
TERF, TERF, TERF! Sure is something nasty about that cough. Anyways, Emmy continues by saying, to think that my former 10-year-old self would today be labeled as a trans child is terrifying. Wow, you're giving rise to the literal definition of the word transphobia. You literally have an irrational fear of trans people.
No, she has a rational fear that some adults would cut off her breasts and sterilize her because she as a kid is saying, I want to be a boy. That's blindly affirmed nowadays. That's a rational fear.
This study is not labeling all children that play with gender non-conforming toys as trans. It's letting parents know that there are early signs that you could have a child that is transgender, giving them the time to have the tools ready so that they can assist their child.
What do you want to do with this study? I am very confused. You're announcing this study, but you keep coming with these disclaimers. I know a lot of trans people that experience the complete opposite of what this study concludes. And you say, oh, it's not all, but what do you want to say?
This study is not telling parents to take a look at their child and see if they're playing with a gender non-conforming toy and then go, they must be trans, I will make them trans.
Oh yeah, because people like that don't exist. Not at all.
Alright, a lot of you guys asked, so I'll now be naming a couple dog whistles used by TERFs. First, what is a TERF? A TERF, or a trans-exclusionary radical feminist, is someone who believes that trans people do not need to be included in their feminism.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I said. What's wrong with that? Women's rights is about women, biological women. Men's rights is about men, biological men. Trans rights is about transsexual people. And I think that's, even though it's not a third sex or a third gender, I think it's perfectly normal and fine to divide it into 3 groups. Trans women don't experience the same things as regular women do. And the same applies to trans men, you get the point. So why don't trans activists get a fancy label when they believe that trans rights is for trans people?
They often portray trans women as predatory men who are trying to sneak their way into women's spaces, and trans men as victims of the patriarchy who hate themselves and their gender.
That's simply not true. I mean, of course these people exist. I have to clarify that, I know. But the first thing about trans women are men who are predatory? No. What TERFs are talking about most of the time is men faking being trans. They're talking about fake trans women who are men who are predatory and taking advantage of people's acceptance of trans women. And when you think about it, it's a really good thing that they don't think of trans women whenever they think of men who are predatory, putting on a dress. And the women who become men because they hate being women, that's also a real thing. There are women like that. Just see the thousands of detrans stories where women, biological women, they explain that that's why they transitioned. My leg is asleep. Oh my god. Internalized homophobia and internalized sexism is a real thing, and TERFs are not talking about all trans men.
You can identify them by looking for these dog whistles. Keep in mind that if one person does 1 or 2 of these, it doesn't automatically mean they're a TERF. Always use your own judgment. Number 1, if they call themselves a rad femme or have radical in their name. If they refer to themselves as gender critical. If they prefer to say LGB community as opposed to LGBT or LGBTQ community.
I mean, I think I kind of agree, but at the same time, I've noticed that many LGB people, or like people who have LGB and radfem in their bio, they follow me and they like me, so it is an individual assessment, and I don't think it means anything. I completely understand the LGB Alliance. I don't agree with them 100%, but I totally get where they're coming from.
If they refer to trans activists as TRAs. If they use the phrases lesbian not queer or sex not gender.
If you have a problem with lesbians, with homosexuals who are not comfortable calling themselves a slur that's been used as a slur for many, many years, it says more about you than them. Sex not gender. Well, that's because it's basically the same thing.
If they use the terms TIM or TIF instead of FTM or MTF. They use the phrase women born women. Use the terms trans cult or libfem. Bye, that's all I can fit.
I don't see a problem with any of that. Although I don't think we should create a new language, so there are some terms I did not know. Let's see. TIM, TIF, like don't do that. Like, I get it, maybe it's easier, but It's just as cringe to me as using AFAB and AMAP, assigned female at birth, assigned male at birth. Like, don't create this new language, please. It's not necessary. Thank you all for watching this video. Am I a TERF? Maybe leave a comment down below. Remember to like this video, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace out.